So I couldn't possibly go through my entire seamless service delivery white paper. It's about 30 pages. So I chose a couple of themes out of the paper to talk about, and you'll see them here. I think we need to shift from silo to value stream thinking, work collaboratively across functional groups, and be accountable for shared outcomes. And I want to start a movement around this. Everybody's talking transformations. I want to start a movement. And I'll tell you a little bit about why I want to start this movement, some of my background. I was a service delivery manager for a number of years, and continually I would get the complaint that our new hires were not getting their system access and their computer assets in a timely manner. And the expectation was that they would get them on the day one, first day of work, so they could start working right away. And I mean, that's a pretty lofty goal, but it makes sense that we'd want our new hires to get working right away. And so when I started looking into it, what I found was there were a number of dependencies on for IT. For example, security had to do a citizenship verification. If they had not done that, and the switch had not been flipped in the system, then we're not going to give them system access if we haven't validated their citizenship. Another one was facilities. Had to give a space. So we needed to have a space assigned to the person in order to deliver the computer asset to them, right? And so what I found was that I was going to have to work with these functional groups. If I was going to do my job effectively, I was going to have to work with these groups. And so, and it wasn't IT's fault that this was happening, that we weren't getting our assets and our access in a timely manner. So I pulled a group together. It wasn't my job as IT, but I went and I got some functional representatives who were out in the business solving their own problems about onboarding individually in their silos, and pulled them into a team and started working with them. And it was just amazing what happened when we put all of our minds together. We got really innovative, and things were moving along. Things became more visible. So I want to start this movement. So the next thing I want to do is show you a little bit about how we can get this movement started. So we're going to show a little video, YouTube video.
So ladies and gentlemen, at TED we talk a lot about leadership and how to make a movement. So let's watch a movement happen, start to finish, in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons from it. First, of course you know, a leader needs the guts to stand out and be ridiculed. But what he's doing is so easy to follow. So here's his first follower with a crucial role. He's going to show everyone else how to follow. Now notice that the leader embraces him as an equal. So now it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Now there he is calling to his friends. Now if you notice that the first follower is actually an underestimated form of leadership in itself. It takes guts to stand out like that. The first follower is what transforms a lone nut into a leader. And here comes a second follower. Now it's not a lone nut, it's not two nuts, 3 is a crowd, and a crowd is news. So a movement must be public. It's important to show not just the leader, but the followers, because you find that new followers emulate the followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, and immediately after, 3 more people. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point. Now we've got a movement. So notice that as more people join in, it's less risky. So those that were sitting on the fence before now have no reason not to. They won't stand out. They won't be ridiculed, but they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. So over the next minute, you'll see all of the those that prefer to stick with the crowd, because eventually they would be ridiculed for not joining in. And that's how you make a movement. But let's recap some lessons from this. So first, if you are the type like the shirtless dancing guy that is standing alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals. So it's clearly about the movement, not you. Okay, but we might have missed the real lesson here. The biggest lesson, if you noticed, did you catch it? Is that leadership is over-glorified. That yes, it was the shirtless guy was first, and he'll get all the credit, but it was really the first follower that transformed the lone nut into a leader. So as we're told that we should all be leaders, that would be really ineffective. If you really care about starting a movement, have the courage to follow and show others how to follow. And when you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first one to stand up and join in. And what a perfect place to do that, TED. Thanks.
That's one of my favorite YouTube videos. It's not real good quality, but it's pretty funny. And so now you can see, I want to start a movement, and this is how I want to do it. So you guys are going to have to join me. Yeah. So this is the silo thinking. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with this type of an organization. You've got here represented 5 functional groups. We've got HR, security, IT, facilities, and finance. Each one of them have their own organization, their own processes, and in a lot of cases, their own system. In many cases, their own systems, or maybe even multiple systems. So there's not a lot of innovation going on. There's a lot of tribal knowledge in these organizations. And there's not any kind of cross-functional type things going on. So this is out of my paper, and it represents value stream thinking, more cross-functional. So getting the people together, because we can have systems and all kinds of things that are digital, that are pulling people together, but if you don't have the people connections, the supplier connections, then it's not going to be successful. It doesn't work. So my feeling is the very first thing that you need to do is get that cross-functional organization in place. So that's what I talk about in my paper are the foundational elements, which are cross-functional organization, enterprise service management, and a common service portfolio. And I believe IT4IT can help you with enterprise service management and common service portfolio. Here's just a representation of a cross-functional organization. Some of the things I like to point out is you have your functional group, you have governance around your services. So something like onboarding, which is my example, you would have all of the functions represented. If they're very, like, I call them the pillars, because they know the processes and the procedures. You can't do away with those pillars. They have all the information about HR and IT and security and each one of their functions. So you need them, and when their processes or their procedures, their policies seems to be a big one, when that policy changes, everybody needs to know about it that's involved in the service. So that you're not changing something that's going to impact one of the other groups. So that's a big thing is change management. So I've got under this what I'm calling the service domain support, a change manager, a security analyst, or a governance and risk and compliance analyst, program management, business intelligence analyst, a financial analyst, and a business analyst. And the other really important role is a service owner, and I don't care what you call it, but you need somebody that is going to integrate all of the suppliers, all of the functions, all of the systems, the processes, the technology. You can't do all of that in an automated fashion. You still need to have somebody that is owning that service and making sure that things are moving and being measured. So here's a table that kind of talks to the shift from silo to value stream thinking. So in your silos, you have a lot of tribal knowledge. You have tunnel vision. You have goals that are focused just on the function. That inhibits innovation. It's really hard to innovate when you're in those silos. information gets stuck. That's what I see all the time. Information gets stuck, and it's very waterfallish and independent. A lot of isolation there. And in value stream thinking, you have shared knowledge across your functions. Your view is widen. You're looking at things more end to end. Your goals have a shared outcome. Innovation flourishes. I've seen it. I've witnessed it when I've got this cross-functional team together. They come up with great ideas, and the information flow is visible. It's more agile and it's collaborative. So I was going to do an exercise, but I'm just going to kind of walk you through this exercise where you guys are all familiar with this, I'm sure, especially if you're in a large corporation. You have the goal that comes down from corporate. And then the business units all come up with their supporting goal. And then the functions all come up with their supporting goal, right? But if you're doing it in a silo, you're doing it in your individual silos, then you're not thinking horizontally, and you're going to have problems with the movement of activities. And so here I'm showing just a representation of some goals that might have come out of HR, security, facilities, IT, and finance. And HR, they come up with maybe that their start date needs to be established within 5 days of the offer. What they need from IT is a dashboard to track employee progress, but they're only thinking about their HR stuff. They're not thinking about the other groups. And then security, they need to have their training completed before we're going to give them system access, the new hire system access. And they want an automated process that's going to notify the employee of their required security training. Facilities, they want their own system to track the space assignments and making sure that the new hire has a space available for that start date. And then IT, they want to track their assets and make sure that they have something for the employee on day one. Finance they want to get some notification from security that the training's been completed so that they make sure that that's their trigger for the time card. So if you go on to the next one, let's apply some value stream thinking to the same thing. So same goals across, but what happened when I brought these guys together is they started thinking more horizontally. They started thinking about what could they do to make this work together instead of in their own individual silos. And they came up with ideas like, well, we're giving our employees, most of them, a laptop. Why can't we do that at new hire orientation? And new hire orientation had typically just been HR, doing a little bit of intro to the company and things like that. So what happened was IT, facilities, security, they all started showing up to new hire orientation to make sure that everybody had their laptop. It was set up for them. Facilities made sure they had a space for the person to go to, and security would do their verification right there. They'd look at the identification and make sure that it was okay to give these people system access. So in the white paper, I give you a few things that you can use. There's 3 things that I use to kind of identify that process workflow, the system flow, because things get stuck in systems too. It's not only the process flows, it's the system flows. So you kind of have to map out your systems and figure out where is the data coming through all of your systems. And then I have a matrix for metrics accountability, because that's another key thing that I was seeing was nobody was accountable. Everybody was just thinking about their own individual area and what they needed to do for their goals. So here's an example of the system data flow. And so the people represent manual data entry that comes in, and then the systems that it's going into, and then across, you'll see the lines across it is the data flow. And these are really current state type diagrams that I just update as I go along. So as things improve, let's say we eliminate a system or we can consolidate some systems, then this would get updated. And the colors represent the different functional groups. So you can see HR has a couple systems. They actually have more than that. And then security's got their own system. Facilities has their own system. IT has their own service management system. And facilities has yet another service management system. Here's an example of the process flow. And I like to do it up and down because across the lines, you can kind of see where things are going to fall through the cracks, where the handoffs between HR and security might not be happening. So you can kind of use those lines to see where you might need to make some metrics and make sure that people know how long in advance they need to do something. And another innovative thing that came up out of the group too was that HR could give the rest of the groups a list of the employees that were coming in. And that was phenomenal. Once they had that list, IT could make sure that they had the right number of assets, and security knew how many people, because sometimes we have 50 people coming in, another time it might be 200 people coming in. So they could be ready for the new hires. And this is an example of business outcome and metrics. So the business outcome is very important. That's what the whole group needs to be working towards. So instead of working on their individual goals, they're all working on a common goal. So in this case, it was delivery of the badge. So when security was able to come to the new hire orientation, they could also give out the badge, and they didn't have to come to the security office. So the new hire didn't have to, jump from place to place. It was all right there. Their computer asset, their system access, physical access, space, and time card on the start date. And each individual function has their own metric that they are accountable for, but they're all accountable for the one. And the other thing that I think that needs to change is our reward system, so that people are rewarded more for helping out other groups. Because when I was an IT manager and I was doing all this and bringing all these people together, a lot of times people said, well, that's not your job. But somebody does have to do it. Somebody does have to bring these people together and integrate. Here's where I think IT4IT really comes into play. And I have on here overlaid the IT4IT value chain and streams here. And when a service is coming in and going through kind of that discovery in the beginning, and then you're trying to decide if you're going to invest in it, you can use a lot of the IT4IT activities that are outlined for you. And eventually it comes, a new service might be a project. And the thing that's different, I think, here than normal projects that I've seen, technology projects I've seen, is that you're also considering how you're going to maintain and support that service within the project. So you're delivering something that is sustainable. So here I have the strategy to portfolio activities. So with your cross-functional group, so you have to have this cross-functional group, you would then go in and define your objectives. First, your strategy, your objectives, your goals, your tactics, align the business and the IT roadmaps, get some enterprise architecture in there. I feel like you can do it at that service domain level. So for hire to retire, you're kind of doing your enterprise architecture on the hire to retire, and then within that you have all of your different services. So you've got onboarding, you have relocation that touches all of the functions. You have offboarding as another one, separations, when somebody terminates, that touches all the functions. You have to get those assets and the access back, right? So they all get involved in that as well. You're creating your service blueprint and understanding your demand. I mean, that's critical. Like I said, the group was able to understand their demand a lot better once they all got together. And then select what services and what changes to services are going to add the most value for the team as a whole. And governance is key, like I was mentioning before. Change management not only for systems, but change management for policy and procedures and things like that across all of the functional groups. So the takeaways here are really that we want to start a movement. We want to go from silo to value stream thinking. I want you guys to, and I think everybody here probably does, widen your view, look across end to end, but tell everybody that you know that that's what we want to do, silo to value stream. Because really this is all about a big cultural change that needs to happen before we can ever get to a digital enterprise. Cross-functional teams that communicate daily and are accountable for common business outcomes. That's key. And I believe a common service portfolio. If you all are sharing what you have and what you're working on with the other functional groups, then you're going to be a lot more aligned. So that common service portfolio, and I think that's where IT4IT can really help. So you guys with me? You want to start a movement? All right. Yeah. And you can download the Seamless Service Delivery and the IT4IT white paper and read more about it. There's some architectural things, if you like motivation diagrams and things like that in there that I didn't get into, but you might be interested in.